What's up, guys, and welcome to this full album reaction of Sleep Token's new album, Even in Arcadia. So if you've been following me at all, you probably know that I always do a cover as soon as bands drop new music. So this is going to be a vocal analysis, analyzing what Vessel does throughout the entire album, as well as just me deciding which song to cover for today. And I'm hoping to release that later today or tomorrow morning. And then if you're interested in vocal lessons, please head to my website at the link in the description if you're interested in learning anything that I'm going to talk about today. And then since we've all probably heard Emergence, Caramel, and Damocles, I'm going to skip those as I've already done covers of them as well. And we're just going to get into the album right now. So the first song is Look To Windward. So here we go. Okay. Maybe there's more compression, but it's probably just a reverb and mixing thing. But we'll keep going. Very cool so far. Okay. Alright, so he's building tension in the vocals here. So he's getting more of this dramatic kind of sound going. And that is very signature to what he does normally. Super variant in his expressions. So this is just another facet of how he can express emotions, which is very unique, and it's partly why they're so successful, which they are exploding. So overall, a little softer, but he builds a lot of tension in these soft vocals with this more restrained, compressed sound. Tons of reverb, maybe a little bit of a low-pass filtered kind of thing going on. Oh, I love these synths, strings. Okay, so he kind of did like these little wailing things, so we're going to rewind that just a little bit here. So in there, it's pretty hard to tell because of the production, but it sounds like he's kind of going like, oh, oh. But compression makes that a little bit harder to tell, especially with all the other things going on. So we're going to listen to that one more time. So that's more of a, maybe a light mix. But then that's, oh, it almost sounds like an octave jump there. That could be chest with just some overtones. Everything looks the same. So he's got that lower laryngeal sound, which is very cool. And that's very different from what was going on in the beginning, which is just, it's still a low laryngeal sound, but in the beginning, had a little bit more compression, had a little bit of that smoky, airy sound. So now he's letting it come through more, which is very cool. And it's like a story where he's taking us on. Really cool transition. So, of course, he's got that more compressed kind of scream going. That whole sound, and then he goes, will you halt this eclipse in May? He ends with that really squeeze sound. So let's listen to that one more time, the transition. And then May, he goes into that more restrained kind of scream here. Eclipse in May, will you halt this eclipse in May? And what's really cool is right here you can actually hear his fry enter. And then, so before you actually hear the scream, you hear that, you hear the distortion coming through like with his mouth closed. And then he lets the scream out. Okay, got that standard dreamy sound that we're used to with them. And we're sitting in this space for a while, which is very beautiful. Sounds so good. So we're definitely exploring more of that, hip-hop here. It's very, very cool. Ooh. Okay, super interesting. So F sharp 5. Pretty solid. All right, so yeah, I'm coming full circle back to where we were at the beginning of the song. Ooh, and ending it with a little breakdown. Love it. So using those more black metal kind of screams. Just some comments on Look To Windward overall. I thought it was really, really cool. Really great arrangement. This is like beautifully composed in my opinion. I think that their composition is just getting better and better. Sleep Token is kind of awesome the way that they are like putting out really long songs, really putting progressive metal at the forefront, if you could call this progressive metal. And we're going to Past Self. Very interesting sound, relaxing. The layers that came in are widening now. It's awesome. Okay, so these are really dry, actually. I love also that they are switching between, just one centered vocal and then going to a more like multiplied or, doubled, a pan doubles kind of thing. Love the layers here. Gave away all my blessings, left off weightless, torn apart by the true believers who turned out to be faithless. Torn apart by the true believers that turned out to be faithless. Very powerful. Very powerful. And maybe we don't exactly mean that in the same way, but I totally would affirm that statement by itself in the context of at least Christianity. Okay, so we got quite a bit of stuff going on here. Tons of layers, honestly. Too much to keep up with in the moment, but it's beautiful just taking it all in. Got that layers, falsetto, 1 octave higher than the main vocal. Maybe not an octave. Once again, so many layers, but it's very cool. They just added in like this, ad-lib sort of thing. See that, that kind of thing going on. And they put a low-pass filter on that, it sounds like, so that it does not clash so much with the rest of the layers. So now we got these distant reverb things going on in the back. So they sound like they're actually detuned, but it could just be, a 4-mint change. Okay, so Past Self. Probably won't be covering Past Self. It wasn't a whole ton of vocal variety going on there. It was very interesting compositionally, a nice relaxing track, but nothing super interesting vocally or impressive necessarily. So we'll keep going with Dangerous now. Another shorter song. Okay, so these vocal timbres, I don't feel like we've heard from him before. I could be wrong. I'm a fan, but not the biggest fan, so maybe I'm forgetting something at the moment, but that's quite a unique sound and tone, so let's listen to that again. Go! So when was the last time? Bless. So he's kind of combining his normal low laryngeal position. Bless. He kind of gets a little bit of an emo sound in there almost. Is used sparingly, but it really adds to the overall expression. Bless. Sounds really cool. We made. Okay, F sharp 4. Something really cool about Sleep Token is when I'm trying to learn songs, typically I'm trying to learn them as quick as I can to get covers out or whatever. And I'm always trying to anticipate so I can learn faster, learn the melodies and stuff. And Sleep Token is especially difficult because every time I guess what note, they always subvert you. So that's just really cool. Always very, very fun lyrics here. Permafrost. Very interesting production. So far, this is my favorite out of the 3. Look to Windward, Past Self, and Dangerous. So for Dangerous, I think that was really awesome. I am considering doing a cover of that so far out of Look to Windward, Past Self, and Dangerous. Dangerous is my number 1 right now to cover. But, we still got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 more songs to check out. So who knows? Who knows? We'll keep going. So we're moving on to Even in Arcadia. They do good. No! It's a G4. Real! Listen to this high vocal layer here. Tons of layers there. I can't tell if they're real or synthesized, but either way, sound on. But I just haven't heard that specifically yet. Maybe he has done that before. But that is a very, a different kind of style of grit. So this will be cool. That's awesome. Super emotional. I've been wanting him to do something like this, actually. Let's listen again. Once again on that G4. So it's not like, have you been waiting? It's more like, have you been waiting long? More like that. So very cool. I love it. I hope to hear more like that. That's really cool. I've been wanting that. The big thing with Sleep Token is I feel like if he just was, I don't know if he's able or not, but if he could push his chest voice up more, then and maybe use a little bit more rasp, just like that. That was so amazing. More often, they might be one of my favorite bands. Like they're still amazing, of course, and their style clearly appeals to so many people. They don't need to change what they're doing at all. They're doing amazing. Just my personal taste and opinion. I wish that he took the vocals up in a more like intense way. Fit in that space with the violin probably violin for a while. Even In Arcadia was really, really cool. Just taking a look at the lyrics again. Very interesting lyrics. Swing wide those gates. I've paid my penance kindly well in time for Judgment Day. Turns out the gods we thought were dying were just sharpening their blades. So this is clearly, referring to some kind of mythological stuff. But I wouldn't be surprised if he's expressing some sort of, like genuine, religious kind of feelings he's having personally. Especially with like, I am the flood, and what was missing from those scriptures will be written in my blood. So scriptures typically, referring to, the Bible. So definitely not my position, but even in Arcadia, probably not the one to cover for me, but it was really good. It was really good. Next is Provider.
I wanna be a provider.
Already instantly resonate with these lyrics.
You're out of shell.
You're out of shell. Goes to that shell. Not really a specific note. It's pretty, familiar. Very similar to In Caramel. It's like, everybody one size on them. I just want to hear you sing that top line. So, pretty cool reference. It's always nice to hear references that refer to each other in the album. Love all this space. I love the space because when artists put space in the music like that, to just have seconds of silence or, just let the instruments ring, there's always a strong chance that the average listener will just click off in the moment. But for people who are engaged, it lets you feel the feelings and absorb what you just heard. So it's a risk, but it's for the sake of the art, and I think that is admirable. I love these lyrics. That's so fun. Roll or die, you bet. Okay.
You're out of shell.
Okay. So one thing I'm looking for here in terms of what song should I cover is where can I take things up an octave or maybe do a counter melody that is, appropriate for the space. And in this one, I'm actually not hearing it so far. Like, so far on the album, there's only been a couple spots where I think that's, actually reasonable. And right here might be one of them. So we'll keep going. But so far, pretty good. Provider was pretty solid. Lots of interesting things vocally going on, but I don't think it really tops Dangerous. And then even in Arcadia, we had that really cool final belt going on. And we didn't hear anything like that in Provider. But Provider had some very interesting lyrics. So lyrics that I can resonate with, and I'm sure lots of people can resonate with, and they're also just interesting, creative, and fun. And then Gethsemane is next. So after some research, it seems that there is no reference to Gethsemane, like in Greek mythology or anything. So I do think that this album has been referring to biblical references and then kind of tying that into mythology, like Greek mythology. So, not the biggest fan of that. But if it gets more people thinking about Christianity, I think that's a good thing generally. So, Gethsemane is next. Here we go. Okay, so very vulnerable vocal timbre from him here. pure falsetto, and it's not his typical falsetto that he normally does. It's a very vulnerable, gentle kind of sound.
Except if you were wasted.
Okay, so clearly not quite referring to like the Garden of Gethsemane, so we'll see what this is talking about. Very interesting instrumental break here. I really enjoy the guitar tone combined with the drums. Very solid sound. Got some saturation, maybe a little low pass filter. Sorry, not low pass, like a low-fi filter. Oh, okay. Well, hold on. I think we heard some screams in the back. Couldn't really tell. Yeah, definitely. Some screams there. Super far back in the mix, though. Making good use of this very cool melody and theme. Changing the chords underneath it as it repeats. It's a really good compositional tool. Wow, they're really using lots of different sounds. This is fun. Really brings down. This one. So they got some octave jumps there. That's what I want to hear more of from him, honestly. Generally, it's really cool as it is. Really strong. He sounds so good up there. Woo! Very nice, very nice. Super emotional. Gethsemane. So very interesting in terms of instrumental. I think this is really, really amazing. It was a pretty long song. That one did feel long. Like, look to Windward. I was pumped on it, but by the end, that felt like it dragged a little bit. Could also be, it was called Gethsemane, so I was maybe hoping for some allusion to, the Garden of Gethsemane, but it seemed, I don't know what the link to Gethsemane is here. It seems like a relationship, and didn't quite resonate with me in terms of what the lyrics are talking about too much. I definitely hear that emotion in his voice, though. So it's a situation that he's expressing, he's dealt with, that's his experience, and that is very, it resonates with a lot of people, for sure, like this emotional perspective he's coming from. And then at the end, that expression with the higher belted sound with a little bit of rasp, not the same kind of belting that he did earlier with the that kind of growly sound, but this is more like, yeah! But a very raspy sound that has the intensity, but it's just a variation from what we heard earlier in the same stream of, rasp or distortion. So the last song now is Infinite Baths. Okay, so I'm curious. This is the longest song, 8 minutes, 23 seconds. So here we go. We're going to do it. Love the 8-bit feel. Started out with it, and then the last song starts with it as well. Very nostalgic, relaxing. It's got a little bit more rasp on his voice, generally across the album more than I've heard, in clean tones. Very beautiful atmosphere at the beginning here. It's an E4. Very creative lyrics here. Love them. Here, the vocals are taking a spot with the rest of the band instead of being the forefront, which I think is very cool. They're just adding to that atmospheric space. Love the time signatures. Screaming over some, more major sounding stuff is always awesome. Okay, and then we got about a minute and 10 seconds left, or just a minute now. Are we gonna do a fade out with this? And that's how we're gonna end the album. Oh my goodness. So interesting. Still got 10 more seconds. Something could happen. Don't know. I don't think anything's gonna happen. Okay. That one was interesting. So overall, I'm thinking Dangerous. I'll have to revisit, go back and look. Dangerous was really good. I believe Dangerous was the one where we had... Yeah, that's probably my favorite moment from the album, honestly. Caramel was pretty good. Besides, I think that Caramel, Damocles, and Emergence were really solid. Look to Windward was a really solid intro. That's a really good song. I'll be listening to that more for sure. And then Dangerous was really good. I might cover Dangerous or even In Arcadia. So those are the two that I'm thinking about right now. Dangerous or even In Arcadia. So I'll have to think about that for a few minutes and then get to work on them. But yeah, if you enjoyed this reaction, this breakdown at all, like, subscribe, do all those things. And then if you want vocal lessons, then head to the link in the description. I teach all this stuff. So yeah, and hope to see you guys later. Let me know if you want me to do more of this kind of thing. See ya.